You are a tile installer. You're talented. You create something of great beauty. You build something of value for your customers. I know that you can build the business that you've always dreamed of. I know that you can build this type of business and that it can provide very well for you and your family. The type of business that is going to sell value over price. I know this and I believe this because of the type of business we're in. You can build this business. You can be compensated very well for your talents and for your value that you are providing your clients. Your right customers are out there. I know you can find them. Hello, tile friends. Welcome back to another episode of Tile Money. This is the podcast where we discuss the business of being a tile contractor. My name is Luke Miller, and I am on a mission to help tile contractors everywhere. I want to help tile contractors run and grow sustainable, profitable businesses. I started this podcast, Tile Money, with the vision and the hope and the intention of assisting and helping fellow tile contractors that I saw struggling. You know, I feel like I've already been blessed to have made that happen. But I also feel like I'm just getting started on my mission. And thanks to you, friends, thanks to you for listening and your support and the conversations we've had, I've been able to attract some great sponsors, some great partners that believe in my mission and that are backing me to help you. So thank you for sharing your success stories already. I'd like to take a minute and thank my partners. First of all, I'd like to thank the NTCA, the National Tile Contractors Association. They are the nation's oldest and largest professional organization for tile contractors. Yes, they've been around since 1947. Their focus is on assisting their members grow and operate their businesses. That's why they're a great partner for me. I've been getting to know them and getting to know the people inside the NTCA. They are working hard at bettering the industry. And many of them who are volunteers are also running great, profitable, successful tile installation businesses. And that's the beauty of this organization is they're actually out there doing it every day and have been for years and years, most of the people inside this organization. So I'm saying to you, if you're looking for your 5 new best friends, 5 people that are going to impact your life and your business, join the NTCA, but it's not just like a light switch and your business is going to, be turned on. You're going to have to go to these events, put some effort in there, go to these events like Coverings and TSP, and find those 5 people that you want to start associating with, the 5 people that will help you get where you want to be. It can be done. Laticrete International has been a sponsor of mine from the beginning as well, along with the NTCA. I love Laticrete. They're a family-owned, customer-focused company. Laticrete was started by a tile contractor, a tile installer. He saw the need for innovation. He wanted to create something that was lighter as the buildings were getting taller. The founder, Dr. Henry Rothberg, he literally invented thinset right inside his garage, right here in the USA. How cool is that? Today, Laticrete continues to innovate. They continue to pave the way, not accepting mediocrity. Their products, they're making them safer. They're offering silica-free thinsets now. Over the years, one of the best things about Laticrete that I've come to know and love is that they've maintained their family values. Yes, their core values of who they are. If you ever get a chance to visit one of their operations, their factories where they make thinset and grout, you're going to know and experience this. If you ever get a chance to go up and introduce yourself to their CEO, David Rothberg family, go up and introduce yourself. He will take a sincere interest in you. I guarantee it, just like he did me. He didn't know me from Adam. I was another small contractor, and he asked me personal questions, not just about the business, but mostly about my life, to be honest. So I love it. Thank you, Laticrete. Keep up the good work. Keep innovating. Crossville is my newest sponsor. They are America's leading manufacturer and provider of porcelain tile. They are offering a variety of glass tile, natural stone. They import some. And this is great for, of course, exterior, interior, whatever your application. A lot of their products, what I love, are made right here in the United States. Their innovative tile products are sustainable, expertly designed to last a lifetime. They are leading the way in both the manufacturing of gauged porcelain tile panels, as well as donating time and energy to helping write some of these installation standards. And in today's episode, I actually interviewed Noah Chitty, who is taking charge of a lot of this. So look forward to that interview here. So if you're looking for a tile manufacturer who you feel you want to partner with, want to consistently buy good materials, I highly check out, you look into Crossville's products if you're not familiar with them already. So today's episode is all about relationships. How important are building relationships in your business? Well, let me ask you, how important is it that you continue to build and nurture these relationships in your personal life? You know, relationships are everything. And this is true in personal life as well as business. And just like personal life, we have to not only, make acquaintances, but also nurture these relationships and keep in contact. And today we're going to shine the light on this and see why these relationships are so important. Business is very personable, is it not? People make decisions vastly, because of how they're feeling, their emotions. We're emotional creatures, and that's how we make decisions. So if somebody trusts a person, a business, to take their money and deliver on the agreement that's made, this is so important for all businesses to understand, business owners. So it's important to understand the value of these relationships, the value of trust, the value of partnerships. Business deals are largely made on relationships, the largest business deals you can think of, and it's true of the smallest as well. So it's easy to understand this concept when we just think about the deal that we're making with our clients to install their tile. But how about the relationships with our vendors? How about the people we are buying materials from, tools, how about even the tile? How important is it that the people that supply those materials and tools, know you on a first name basis or have a history with you? Do you know your reps? Do you know why you should? Is it important for your business to develop and nurture this relationship with them? What can it help for your business? So that's kind of the discussion I've had with Noah Chitty today from Crossville. And I really like getting to see his perspective, kind of from the other side of the equation on how important these relationships are. And hopefully this conversation will help you to think about this in a new way. Hopefully this will encourage you to get out there and get to know your reps. Noah is the director of the technical services at Crossville. Noah has been working hard on the standards for both the manufacturing as well as the installation of GPTP. So he's a great guy to know. You can meet him at all the trade shows. And this conversation we had touched on both building these relationships and partnerships, as well as we did get into discussing some of this gauged porcelain tile panels. So I know you're going to enjoy this conversation. Check it out right now.
So Noah, we've been talking about, partnerships, the contractor partnering with, manufacturers, whether that be materials or tile like Crossville. What's the first steps for a contractor to start that relationship?
I think probably the first steps are get to know your local rep, because whether it's the tools that you buy or the setting materials you buy or the tile that you're purchasing, if it's being sold in your area, then there's a rep behind it. So I think the first step would be, get to know who that person is. It doesn't mean that you have to have this intimate, relationship with them, but if you know who they are, then you can reach out to them and maybe, you can have a mutually beneficial relationship when things come up that, each one of you needs. And then I would say the other thing is just get involved. I think I see a lot of folks that think the industry's going to come to them. but the reality is, we got to go to the industry. So, via NTCA and CTF and coming to the meetings like, NTCA technical committee. I mean, that's for sure how I meet, the majority of, the tile contractors that we formed relationships with and, long-term, even friends, or through the industry events and the participation in the technical committee meetings and the standards development stuff. So that's for sure, I think, the best way.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, if, from time to time, God forbid, there's a mistake, there's a problematic job, how much better would it be if you just are calling a friend that you've already developed a relationship with, even if that's, you might talk twice, 2 or 3 times a year, and then this time you've got, a situation that you need help with. So what I'm hearing is, that's the way to go. I mean, that's the partnership right there, right?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, we always encourage, obviously, if the tile's bought through a distributor, that you go to the distributor first, but I mean, I've got friends that, I've known for 20 years now from meeting at industry events and, they'll follow the procedure, but my cell phone rings and they're like, hey, I got a problem. And, the reality is we want to be able to deal with that. There's nothing worse than we hear, hey, we had a problem with Crossville Tile, multiple times. And I'm like, well, did you tell us? And they're like, no, we didn't say anything. It's like, okay, well, here we are. We can't be better if we don't know, if we make mistakes. So, and even though there's not a lot of people in this technical services department at Crossville, we answer the phone when somebody calls and, we want to be there to help. So we know the difference. There's a lot of tile out there for people to choose from. So we know the difference is partnerships and relationships. And, we want to be those people that answer the phone and a contractor can feel like, hey, they're different than somebody else who, won't give you the time of the day. So we know it can make a difference and we try to be those.
Well, that's really good to hear. Speaking from the contractor perspective, a lot of times we feel so small. We're just like this little tiny ant, and we look at Crossville and we think, it's almost like we just label it as a large corporation. But from what I'm hearing, you're a family-run operation, and you really need us just as much as we need you, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no reason to make tile if it can't be put in. So and I think that's why, most of the large dollars that we spend are within TCA and CTF, because we do realize, without contractors, and that, there's no reason to make tile. So we absolutely feel like that. But, it's interesting when I worked at Tile Council, people felt the same way. Like there was this kind of Taj Mahal in the desert of, what Tile Council was. And, the reality, people would come there and they'd meet the people that work there. And there's just people, trying to get a job done and trying to do good things for the industry. And I think the more you can, make those kind of relationships and make the connections, you will find out that, no matter how big a company is, at the end of the day, there's just a bunch of people, trying to get the job done and trying to do good for themselves, for their company, for the industry. So, yeah.
Right on. Well, I appreciate that. Thanks for sharing, your viewpoints on that. We've been talking a lot in the industry about gauged porcelain tile panels.
Yeah.
I know Crossville's had, been producing a lot of these large panels. What's the future look like from your perspective?
All right. I'm going to jump in here real quick. That was a great start to this conversation. Before we get into the GPTP discussions, let's talk about some industry news real quick. Today's industry news is sponsored by the NTCA, and it goes along with the porcelain panels. The NTCA is providing a lot of training resources. One of the training resources they provide are their live workshops. This is a great opportunity to get to know gauged porcelain tile panels, get to know how we should be installing them. It's a full day of training. Attendees will learn the new tile installation standards and industry methods for installing these big bad boys. So I encourage you to check this out. If you do choose to attend one of these things, you're not only going to learn how to do it, you're going to learn where these things are made, how they're made, where these panels can be used, the specialty tools you're going to need, the setting materials, the techniques, everything basically to do with these large panels. So if you're interested in learning more about these large porcelain panels, this is the place to start, really, if you haven't had any training. And even if you had, I encourage you to attend and learn more. They're They're limited to about 20 people I see on their website. So it's going to be intimate, which is a good thing, a really good opportunity for learning quickly there. And even if you're not planning on selling or installing these large panel tiles, it's going to be beneficial to you as the tile contractor in your area to be the expert, know about them, know what's coming down, because when people start asking about this stuff, you want to either have the answers or know who to call. Again, relationships, partnerships, know who to call, know where to find those answers. So this is a great opportunity to continue your education and build on professional relationships. The people that are teaching these classes, they're very knowledgeable and they're eager to share their knowledge and help you succeed. So click on the link in the show notes to find when the nearest NTCA workshop is going to be at a location near you. Plan to attend one of these workshops. It's going to help you grow your business. You're going to learn, you're going to be able to educate people in your communities. You're going to be able to be the expert. All right, now let's get back to this conversation that I had with Noah Chitty, and he's going to share some insight into the future of these large gauged porcelain panels.
It's interesting for us. So, I mean, the growth has been steady. And even in a year where 2019, where, regular tile was flat for multiple reasons, you could, say LBT or, labor shortage or, more capacity than is necessary. Gauged porcelain tile panels have still grown for us, 20 to 30% every year for the last 6-7 years. And 2019 still showed that growth. So still think there's huge potential. And now when we grow 20%, we're talking a pretty substantial number of growth, a lot more than when we said, hey, it grew 40% and we started with nothing. Yeah. So now it's significant, but it's pretty interesting because we came out with 12 millimeter porcelain slabs that really go straight to the fabricator because they're not, rectified or squared or finished or whatever you want to say, and they're 400 pounds. So they're really something that we envision as a new customer, really the countertop market and fabricators. But now we're seeing we're starting to see people starting to do different things with thinner materials, with 3 millimeter and 6, whether they're bonding it to foam to build prefabricated things. We're looking at it for furniture. So, it's almost like 7 years in, even more people are coming and having these innovative ideas about what you can do with it, which is really great for the tile industry because it means that there's things that we can do to take market share from things that aren't tile, So I think it's really good, but I see the growth continuing. I think that, I don't know what the next innovation is. They can't get much bigger or thinner. So, probably the next innovation is just look and really what people can do with it. And I think that's where I see the innovation going is, what can you dream that it could be? And, can you actually fabricate, facilitate, and then sell that,
That's cool. That's exciting. I hear from people, we're not seeing it in our area. And I know I felt like that, as well, but it's definitely coming. I mean, if all the manufacturers are having the same growth, or similar growth as you're having, that's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you, like you said, we're a private company, so we don't release like sales numbers, but I know there's 8 other manufacturers out there with gauged porcelain tile. And if they're even a fraction of what, we are, then there's millions of square feet being sold. So, I saw some guys talking on one of the forums the other day and they're like, yeah, it hasn't really hit our area. And I'm thinking, well, wait, we've got a distributor who's selling a couple of $1 million worth of gauged porcelain tile within a 50-mile footprint of where you are. So, if you haven't seen it in your area, maybe it's more commercially than residentially, and maybe that's there, but I can't think it's not coming. And especially as the price come down, as more labor is there to put it in, as people are having different ideas. So it's strange for us because 7 years in, they're like, I need to get training. It's like, where were you for the last 7 years? But we focused a lot of training on commercially oriented trainers. We didn't seek out, it was just people who came to us. But now I see more and more, especially in the residential market, of people saying, I need some training. So that's why we're continuing to, facilitate that training through NTCA, because I don't think it's going away. And, I've told internally, I've said, this is something we're going to need to keep in the budget for a long time.
That's great. Talking about GPTP and the fact that people are looking for it in their areas, and you're saying it's there, in some cases it's there, we're selling it. This is, bringing it back to the partnership thing. I mean, put a call into your rep, your Crossville rep or whoever, your tile rep, and say, do you know of any distributors near me? Can you make that introduction for me, or at least point me in the right direction?
Yeah, I mean, because we've got, no matter where you are, we've got a distributor who's covering something in your footprint. And if you can make that connection with a rep, and, there's only one of me, so I wouldn't invite everybody to call me to find out the information. But for sure, I mean, that's an easy connection that a tile contractor can make is, hey, this is something I want to get into. I'm going to get the training, because we still have a lot of distributors, especially in the Northeast, that say they can get the job spec and they can't find the labor to put it in. So I know there's pockets of the country where more could be sold if there was more labor to successfully put it in. So yeah, I think that's a good partnership. Somebody could easily go to that distributor and be like, hey, I'm here. If you got jobs, let's talk about how they can get done. So that opportunity for sure still exists.
Yeah. A lot of opportunity in that field. I met you just a few months ago for the first time inside a TCNA meeting, at ESP there in Nashville. And, you were taking the lead on writing some of these standards for not only, manufacturing, but also installation. Is that correct? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I'm not sure how all that became, something we did. I mean, I would say in the beginning, we had a need. We thought standards were important, and while standards benefit everybody, you got to do it. Somebody's got to take the lead and kind of figure that out. So we started with, for me in the very beginning, the installation standard was the most important, because if everybody's not putting it in that same way and failures start to happen, it'll kill it. But in order to have an installation standard, we had to have a product standard. So that's really where we started. It took us 5 years to write a product standard for Gauged Porcelain Tile. And then at the 3-year point of that 5 years, we started to write the interior installation standard, and then balloted them both together. So I think it's been 2 years now that we have both a product and an interior installation standard. And then at the meeting that you were at, kind of the last two pieces of the puzzle from a standards kind of side was an exterior installation standard, which we've been working on for 2 years now. And I think we'll have a draft pretty good. There's 10 of us in an ad hoc subcommittee tasked with writing that exterior installation standard. And we've been at it for about 2 years. So I think we'll have a draft to submit to the committee a month before coverings, and then hopefully a good discussion and go to ballot, and cross your fingers. That's what always happens. Yeah. And then at the last part would be, what does Gauged Porcelain Tile details look like from a TCA handbook standpoint? So at the meeting where you were at, we finally got the very first detail kind of approved by committee for what specifically a TCA handbook Gauged Porcelain Tile detail would look like. And now we're looking at taking that as the template and creating all the other details that are necessary for all the other applications, whether it be walls or floors or wood or concrete or that kind of thing. So seems like we're starting to put the last pieces of the puzzle together. I'm sure there'll be some new, but we need a standard for this. So, because, it took 5 years to get those other two standards done. It was literally the day we submitted them to committee that somebody's like, well, don't you think we need an exterior standard too? And I was like, yes, sounds like y'all need an exterior standard, because I've put 5 years in and I'm good, but it doesn't really happen like that. So yeah, it's important for us. The better standards can be, the better specifiers, and people are comfortable spec'ing the material. And I think for sure the standards have helped that growth path be solid, and knock on wood, I think the failures have been minimal, and especially the ones that are put in right, that they don't fail, because we did the homework to make sure that there was methods and standards in place to deal with it.
That's great. I love it. Well, that sounds real good. Well, Noah, I appreciate you taking a few minutes here and sharing this.
Hey man, thanks for the opportunity, for sure.
All right. So I hope you enjoyed that conversation and benefited from that conversation with Noah as much as I did. The more I get to know the people inside the companies that make up this industry, the more I love it. The more I understand how important these relationships that I am making and that you are making are for your business. Every successful company has good people inside of it, no matter how large they are. And these good people, they want to help us. They want to see you succeed. They celebrate with your wins, and they celebrate with your successes. So I encourage you, once again, get to know your reps. We've got another great Tile Money tip right now. And today's Tile Money tip is sponsored by Latercrete International. And this is actually a short clip that was taken from our live business incubator that we had last September. This is when Ron Nash, he dove deep. He taught the whole class on the art of negotiations. We all came away benefiting greatly from that class. The reason I chose this short clip is it goes along so nicely with today's subject of the power of relationships and getting to know your reps. Enjoy.
We have 17 QC procedures before that product goes into the bag. What that means is, as a chemical company, we're on the level, maybe just a notch below pharmaceutical, as far as quality control. Now, the reason why we're a notch below is because we use raw materials that come from organic things, right? You can't really get that accurate on rock, sand, some of these things. You can only get to a range. And sometimes, and I'm going to tell you this, looking you straight in the eye, we make millions of tons. And I mean exactly what I said. It's hard to wrap your head around. We make millions of tons of material every year. And let's say that the QC range is this wide on, let's say, Portland cement. And let's say it's this wide on sand. And let's say the bag just happens to be, if we took these two bars, left a little bit of overhang where we could have maybe an issue. An extreme on one end, an extreme on another. How that might represent itself in the field is, you mixed up a bag, and gosh, this stuff, I use this, what product do I use? Trilite. Okay, I use this Trilite all the time, and normally it's really like fluffy, but now it's not so fluffy. Okay, did it still get hard? Hold everything down? Okay, great. So the workability is usually what first goes. Like if it's expired material, expired material would never leave our plant. I mean, it literally physically can't, but it normally would be at a distributor shelf that maybe they didn't rotate stock or whatever. That sometimes happens. It actually sometimes happens, and it's all good. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I'm just saying this is a reality of the world we live in. So you mix up the product and you spread the product, and it's a little grainy or gritty. Okay, maybe a little bit of red flag. Now, if I were an installer and the job was, pretty pedestrian, I can bang through this. It's still getting hard, not a problem. Maybe I'll suffer through that. But what I'm going to do, on every bag, there's a code. I'm going to take a picture of the bag, specifically the label. I'm going to get a hold of my rep. Does everybody know their rep? Okay, when you leave, I can tell some of you don't. When you leave, I want everybody to go, I want you to literally physically meet or talk to every single rep that works for you. Okay, what I mean by that is, if you don't use Latercrete products and you happen to like Ardex, I want you to know and get to know your rep. And the reason why I want you to know and get to know your rep is because on those weird issues, a little snap of a photo can get it to a rep who can then go to our QC and get all the information for that bag in like an hour. And I can say, you're good, no worries, our routines are good, you're a little bit later on the date. Probably what you can expect is it's gonna, maybe flash a little faster than normal, or it's gonna be a little more gritty than normal. But you're good to go. Guess what happens? When they say you're good to go, if that tile pops off the floor, you're good to go. You're fine. We're gonna come in, we're gonna help you out. All right? If you don't know your rep, that's a business mistake. It's literally a business mistake. You should know your top reps, period. I'm not saying you even have to like them. And I understand. This industry is full of some not wonderful reps. It just is. I'm working on the problem, guys. That's all I can say. But the fact of the matter is they're your connection to people who have sophistication that might be helping you out in the future. And you don't need it now, that's fine, but you may need it in the future. Okay? So just please go get to know your people.
All right. So if you find yourself choosing to install some funky thin set or whatever, and it doesn't feel quite right, make sure, but you're going to go ahead and push through, take Ron's advice, take a snapshot with your photo, with your camera, and text or email your rep. And that's the power of this relationship. The rep's going to say, you better not use that, or go ahead, I got you covered. And that's going to cover your business. So that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Thank you. I really hope that this is helping you grow a profitable, sustainable business. And if you're out there and you feel like you could use a little bit more than this podcast, a little bit more than the discussions we're having, go check out my website, tilemoney.com. I'm putting together something that dives a little deeper, a little more hands-on training. So check out tilemoney.com and sign up for the beta test or see where we're at. Now, if you love this podcast, please leave us a review. Go to ratethispodcast.com/tilemoney and follow the simple instructions to review. And that link will be in the show notes as well. So stay profitable out there, tile friends. Talk to you next week.